Hearts are made of the people we meet, and how we feel about them. They're what ties us together even when we're apart. They're what make me strong. I'm proud to be a small part of something bigger.
Please watch the preceding videos of Dream Drop Discuss first, as they're the foundations of which this video builds upon. Even though this video is a part of Dream Drop Discuss, it is a theory video, rather than a standard analysis like previous videos in the series. For years after the release of Dream Drop Distance, one of the things that I understood the least was how Sora and Riku could be in the real world, yet still have Dream Eaters. But now I believe Key, Unchained Key, and Union Cross hold the answers to how Dream Eaters can still be in the real world. Let's start with these games and circle our way back round to Dream Drop Distance. In the original Kingdom Hearts Key, Ephemer at one point goes missing. Eventually, both our player and Skuld get dreams about Ephemer. Ava explains that Ephemer fell into an unchained state and found himself in a different realm, and it's from that realm that Ephemer was able to reach out and contact player and Skuld. She says Ephemer being able to contact us means that we ourselves are also getting closer to that unchained realm as well. Later, Ava holds meetings for the Dandelions, where they would enter a world of dreams to train for the main mission of carrying light to the outside world. This is also mentioned by the Master of Masters, where he implies all Dandelions would eventually become unchained. However, what about our player, who never did the mission training because they aren't technically a member of the Dandelions? Ava mentions our player getting closer to the Unchained Realm even before she invites us into the Dandelions in the first place. So if player never had training in the Realm of Sleep, how could we possibly be getting closer to becoming unchained? I believe the answer lies in Nightmare Chirithy. It was first revealed in Key that Nightmare Chirithy belongs to us, and that it seems to be the first Chirithy actually created from a specific person. All other Chirithy aren't actually created from dreams. They're produced in flasks by the Master of Masters, and are later connected to the Keyblade wielders. Which explains why even though they have the ability to consume dreams, they themselves can still exist in the real world. They are not forms of dreams themselves like Dream Eaters we see in Dream Drop Distance. Except for our Nightmare Chirithy, who is created from our particular person. So, to summarize, Ava says our player is becoming unchained even though we've never visited the Realm of Sleep directly like the Dandelions did. And we have a second Chirithy who's a Dream Eater created from our heart that can still exist in the real awake world. In Dream Drop Distance, Riku says,
I know I'm back in the real world, but I still have my Dream Eater powers. Which means he still hasn't woken up.
We know Riku appears in the real awake version of the world that never was after his fight with Ansem the Seeker of Darkness, because Riku later meets up with people who are definitely not asleep. And yet, he still is able to summon spirits, like we see in his fight with young Xehanort. Not only that, but Heartless and Nobodies are nowhere to be seen, even though we know Nobodies practically plague the world that never was. So, it's here I suspect Riku is like our key player. Riku is in a state where he's in the real world, but he himself is vulnerable to nightmares and undetectable to Heartless and Nobodies. So, the overall theory of this video is that Riku, and possibly Sora, are in the unchained state whenever they're in the real world, but still have sleeping abilities like fighting along Dream Eaters. Here's a good way to illustrate how I suspect the unchained state to work. Say the Realm of Sleep is a pool that you can dive into and swim around in. Then, when you climb out of the pool, you're soaked with water even though you're on dry land. In other words, you're still in the dream state even though you're in the awake world. So the Realm of Sleep, or the Unchained Realm, is in a sense a location, while being unchained is a personal state one experiences. And I theorize being in this state allows Dream Eaters associated with you, both spirits and nightmares, to exist in the real world along with you. In a previous Dream Drop Discuss video, I talk about how if Riku has Dream Eater powers and Sigil in the real world that never was because Sora is asleep, and Sora is still asleep at the Mysterious Tower, then Riku should technically have his outfit and powers here as well. And I still genuinely believe this. Throughout Dream Drop Distance, the Dream Eaters in our party only appear in cutscenes a couple times. In the Awake World that never was, they do appear to help Riku reach the castle, but after that they're missing in the room where nothing gathers. That's not to say they're gone, because they're present when Riku fights young Xehanort. So, I believe in the rest of the World That Never Was scenes, along with the scenes at the Mysterious Tower, Riku is still in this unchained state with his Dream Eater powers because Sora is still asleep. He should still have his Sigil outfit like I stated in a previous video, and his Dream Eaters simply aren't in the cutscene like most of the game. So, I believe it's finally when Sora and Riku are both awake in the real world, that's when Riku loses his Dream Eater abilities. For Sora, I can't tell if he's still unchained or not. For instance, he can still use Dream Eaters as a summon in the real world in Kingdom Hearts 3. But I think there's some debate on that since the summons in Kingdom Hearts 3 seem to be more elemental representations rather than the actual characters present. But I also think that Ephemer appearing to Sora in Kingdom Hearts 3 may have something to do with the Unchained Realm, since Ephemer has shown himself to other people by being unchained before. I can't help but wonder if Ephemer showing himself to Player and Ephemer showing himself to Sora are similar instances. Another case where Sora and Riku could be unchained is the Grid, but this would only be the case if the Grid was truly an awake world like young Xehanort states.
You think this is the realm of dreams, but there you are mistaken. Data does not dream, cannot dream. This world is real.
I'm not sure if the Grid is truly a sleeping world or not. Xemnas says the Grid is the original system that Radiant Garden's Space Paranoids was copied from, but in Kingdom Hearts 2, Tron says that the original system was destroyed. So we have a situation where either data being destroyed resulted in itself falling asleep, or that the entire world the data took place in, the one that Sam and Flynn are from, fell asleep. However, I personally still want to heed what young Xehanort says. Support for young Xehanort lying to Sora is that many of the Kingdom Hearts villains lie to mess with Sora and make him doubt himself. But young Xehanort time and time again has told the truth. He told Sora about the Sigil, he told Riku he was the one originally meant to inherit the Keyblade, he told Sora about why the toy box was split, and even about the power of waking. So holding young Xehanort to say Xemnas' lies when he himself does the opposite doesn't make sense to me. I can't help but feel like the Grid may be in the real world after all, and that Tron was wrong about it being destroyed. For theorizing's sake, let's say that the Grid is a real world. If that's the case, then Riku would have been in the real world with Dream Eaters twice in Dream Drop Distance, and Sora once as well. Remember, Sora was never completely awake in his visit to the world that never was, like Riku was. The next few sections are more about Kingdom Hearts Key rather than Dream Drop Distance, but I think these are questions people may ask, so I may as well explore them here and now. In Key, when our player defeats Nightmare Chirithy, they ominously say, "I'll see you in another dream." For a few years, this led people to believe that Key takes place in the realm of sleep. However, two things that support Daybreak Town in Key was in the awake world was that 1. The Dandelions trained in the realm of sleep, and 2. Ephemer contacted us via dreams because he was in the realm of sleep. If Key really entirely took place in the realm of sleep, then neither Ephemer nor the Dandelions would need to access a realm that they're already in. So, I believe Key takes place in the real awake world. But if our player is unchained throughout Key as this personal sleeping state, then that could explain why Nightmare Chirithy said this. Nightmare Chirithy could return in Union Cross if our character is still unchained while in the data worlds. Earlier I mentioned that a possible effect of being unchained is being vulnerable to Dream Eaters, yet undetectable to nobodies in Heartless. But I can see how someone can doubt this conclusion since we fight Heartless throughout Key, Unchained Key, and Union Cross. I don't think these games ever spell this out, but we can theorize that the Heartless here aren't actually real, but projections from the Book of Prophecies. We see pure blood Heartless drawn in the book, as well as the emblem itself, which didn't even exist until young Xehanort's experiments in Radiant Garden. So, in the case that Heartless and Key aren't real, it's still possible that Player and the Dandelions are unchained. I think pets in Unchained Key / Union Cross are similar to Chirithy's. They too are a product of science, since the Union leaders follow a recipe from the Book of Prophecies to create them. Even when we get our pet, the last ingredient is hair plucked from our Chirithy created by the Master of Masters. The player ourself has nothing to do with the creation of our pet, so I don't think they're created from our dreams either. They do have the ability to eat nightmares as well, however pets don't even have a Dream Eater emblem, so even though everyone who's unchained receives pets, our player and the Dandelions, I still think it's only our Nightmare Chirithy who is a Dream Eater created directly from a person's heart. So Dream Drop Distance has long been over. Why would Sora and Riku being unchained even matter now? I don't know if either of them being unchained will eventually affect the story, but I do think that having the abilities of sleep while being in the awake world may explain why we see Dream Eaters. The Master of Masters mentions the Unchained to Lushu, and if this theory is correct, then I guess what Xigbar says in Dream Drop Distance makes sense.
There's no real versus dreams anymore. There's just you, us, and this.